shall be addressed to the following coaches. Mrs. Suzanne Saw, choir leader, a graduate from Melbourne Memorial Conservatory in Australia and head of the Young Choral Academy in KL. Mrs. Liu Jian, a graduate of the Beijing Conservatory as well as the Royal Academy of Music, considered one of the leading violin educators in the country and currently co-concert master of MPO. Mrs. Eugenia Lau, double bass coach, currently teaching at both UITM and Bentley, and herself a past player at MPO. Mr. Yong Hao Keen, a full-time oboist at the RTM Orchestra. Mr. Alex Tsok, graduated from the Malaysia Institute of Arts and concert master at the KL Pac Symphonic Band. Mrs. Wong Wen Chi, a founding member of the MPYO and a graduate of the Conservatory of Music at the National University of Singapore. Mr. Burton Kleiss, who flew in especially from Belgium just to coach the brass section for one weekend, thanks to the support of Etihad Airways, who now flies directly from KL to Brussels. He developed a specific fondness for Malaysia when playing for MPO almost a decade ago, and he now holds the lead trombone position at one of the major orchestras in Germany. And finally, Ms. Su Yin Tan, YMGC's percussion coach, with a master of the Manhattan School of Music in New York. We are most grateful for the quality weekend time these people sacrificed to bring our young stars to the next level. On to challenge number 3. We needed music. When coining the title Young Malaysians Go Classic, it was meant to refer to the classical training that these musicians have received. Classical music often has had an uneasy relationship with commercial success. It is so used to receiving grants, subsidies, or sponsorship that often the idea of achieving commercial success is not even on the agenda anymore. I'm not qualified to go into an artistic debate on the quality of classical composers, since I'm not a musician, but many will agree that a classical concert is not a crowd puller. And thank you very much for coming in so big numbers this evening, about 1,300 of them. Much of today's very best music, however, is inspired by it. And in order to perform it in a harmonious, smooth, and fluent way, you really need classically trained musicians. No synthesizer, regardless the brand, can reach that far. So this evening's music is chosen such that even non-musically trained people, like the organizers of this event, can enjoy the sometimes crispy and shallow, sometimes deep and warm sounds of a full-size philharmonic orchestra. I really would like to invite you all in trying to identify how each of the 41 different types of musical instruments used tonight are all independently contributing to the rich yet harmonious package you are about to enjoy. So the music was chosen to appeal to a broader audience, to make sure that many of the 1,200 over people joining us here tonight will ask themselves, hey, this was quite nice. If this is called classical, I also like it. A growing audience will interest more companies, and that in turn shall create more opportunities for musicians to perform and thus support our CSR initiative. So we did not go to the music score shop and asked, what do you have? No, we went on YouTube, looked for what we liked, and made sure it had at least 10 million views. We then went to Kevin and said, this is what we want you to teach to the young ones. Can it be done? He confidently countered, yes, it can, but can you find the scores? Another reality hit us head on. Some of the scores you can buy, some of them you can only rent, and some of them you really need to rewrite because they are simply not available for sale or rent. Of our selection, almost 60% fell in the last category. So looming big came challenge number 4. We needed a score writer, and one that was not easily scared, because although he knew which music to write, he did not know if he would have all the players available below 25 for each of the music instruments he needed. Was there going to be a youngster to play tuba? Would we find enough cello players? Nobody knew. The person who agreed to this level of unpredictability was our YMGC score writer, Mr. Ken Hoare, a classically trained pianist and trombonist Ken studied film scoring at UCLA in California and received tuition from the famous master, Mr. John Williams himself, composer of tracks like Jaws, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, E.T., Superman, Saving Private Ryan, Harry Potter, and yes, also last year's blockbuster, Tintin. Ken Hoare and his team did an outstanding job, and I believe this evening will be the first time I actually will see him sit down, because until now, he was always running around, in the real world and on Facebook, to tweak, tune, and perfect his scores until the very last minute. And finally, challenge number 5. We needed instruments. Getting them where we needed them, when we needed them, rightly tuned, depending on whether the flooring was timber, carpet, or tiled, proved to be a challenge as well. The most memorable story here was probably that of the bass clarinet. First, we had no player and no instrument, but Ken, being his persistent self, he really wanted one. Then, by pure luck, we found a player, provided we agreed to bend the rules a little bit. Jan Welkenhuizen was not below 25, and he was Belgian, not Malaysian, but we thought, can do lah. So that appeared solved, until we realized we had a player, but no instrument. Apparently, many woodwinds are very sensitive to the humid environment in Malaysia and crack easily. So when we were asking around for a good bass clarinet, we got nothing but no answers. But then again, as you found out by now, Belgian entrepreneurs are innovative. So we started looking for a broken instrument. That appeared to be the right question to ask. In exchange for repairing it, we could use it for free, courtesy of UITM. I could go on for a while with all the fantastic experiences that this journey has brought us, but I hope you will remember us Belgians as creative, persistent entrepreneurs who like to make things happen. Companies like Oleon, Vinke, Materialize, Luast, Puratos, Swift, all are grateful to this fantastic host country and all did their part in bringing this project into being. I also would like to thank His Excellency Ambassador Muli and his team for the great collaboration by linking King's Day to this event. My colleagues at DPO International, who sacrificed a lot of unfriendly hours. Mr. Martijn Ravensloot, a young Belgian video editor who volunteered to make the short movie clips that you are about to enjoy, and a special note of appreciation to Mr. Mervyn Peters, the YMGC Orchestra and stage manager, whom we fondly refer to as the master disciplinarian. One person in particular, however, has been driving this project like no one else, Mrs. Stephanie Chung. Her tireless dedication and omnipresence in all aspects of this venture were remarkable. And just in case there are any headhunters in the room, she's not looking for a career change. To conclude, I would like to show my appreciation to maybe the most important support group of this whole project, the parents. Without you, none of this would have happened. Whatever roles you have assumed, from bringing your kids to rehearsals through deadlocked KL traffic, overwaiting in coffee shops until they finished, helping them with the transport of their oversized instruments like double bass and harp, to finally buying the tickets for this evening, this project is most grateful to you. You have been fantastic supporters. Let me now pass the floor to our young artists who are nervously waiting to show you what they have achieved. Kevin, the floor is yours.